Welcome, Esther. Welcome to Timeless Textiles. What an honour it is to have you here.
Thank you for the invitation, and I feel very honoured to be here.
And this is such a beautiful exhibition to start this year off. Your exhibition called Urban Narrative. So I'd love you to talk about what's behind this exhibition, if you'd be happy to do
Yes. So all my works are revolving around the idea of urban existence. As I'm an urban citizen, I'm living in Budapest in Hungary. And I love the graphical appearance of maps, and I like to work with map layouts to express my ideas about how we live in the city and my personal journey from being a mathematician and working in the field for 20 years into striving to be an artist for more than 20 years now. Finding your place physically and mentally where you are. I started to work with the map of Budapest. This piece here is called Point of Reference, which is a red dot in a map where you're trying to find where you are and what is the point. In Hungarian we say you always have to start the dance from the oven, because that's where you know how it goes around. So this is my oven from where I start my work from usually. I usually start to work with the map of Budapest and distract it and overlap it with all kinds of. For this work, and most of the work what can be seen here is made of newspaper. So I take big sheets of newspaper, and I have one favorite newspaper which has very few colored ads and sheets. And it is a weekly, and it is called Life and Literature. And so I take big sheets and I overprint them with other city maps or dwelling layouts of all kinds of ages to give another layer of history into my work. And in this one I also dripped some red color that might look like blood, maybe a little hint on our history, which has been really bloody through the ages, with the Turkish occupation, with Austrian, Soviets, revolution, counter-revolution, and all these things. So, another great inspiration of mine is in icon walls, which are in Orthodox churches. Although we don't really have Orthodox churches, but I like, there is an icon wall with all the saints and people on them, and they all tell a story for the people who cannot read. And these are very vague, torn out figures, like humanoids. And all the printing on the paper I like very much the graphical appearance of all kinds of strange scripts of various nations, like Georgian, Khmer, Thai. They just look wonderful. So, and I didn't want to have the bad experience that maybe someone from Georgia would pop up and say, oh, why did you write those ugly things? So I was thinking about what is the text that is peaceful and not offensive, and it appears in all kinds of languages, and I found out it could be the Declaration of Human Rights. And I thought, oh, that is a good theme as well, to have all kinds of figures and characters having the same theme or message for the people. So the background is again a distorted, biased map of Budapest actually, but it is very much distressed. And I have these figures are all over. The paper is printed on texts from the Declaration of Human Rights, and of course I edited, I took some words out, don't know which one, because I don't understand, and exaggerated them, so maybe it can be just some less important words. But anyway, you have the polls of the idea of this, and also the polls of how much it is respected in certain countries. As I told, I'm working with newspaper, and I take out the street maps, and I work on water-soluble paper and stitch the whole thing together. So all these newspaper bits are stitched together to keep them on the place and still in the air. I like the idea of having the air and having the shadow behind the piece. And well, it was exactly last year when I realized, oh, I've been doing this whole textile and fiber art things for 20 years, and kind of where did I get? Where am I now? So my thoughts were around this idea, and I started to work with kind of a retrospective work. So I took stripes of newspaper and printed detailed shots in black and white on the newspaper, and all the stripes are earlier works details. And then I cut out the map of Budapest, and I still thought it is not so personal, but it has been my idea for earlier to have a profile of my own and put maps into it. So I thought this is the time now that I will incorporate my profile, and just kind of showing that all these, it is the castle area in Budapest, but it looks very much like a brain system. So it is a little bit on an ironic way, thinking back on my own work, that all what I have in my head is only maps. But also how it spreads out, and in various appearances, it will always come out something like that, something about identification of yourself in a bigger or smaller society and worldwide, and however. And then I like to play very much with the positive and negative. So here I took out the streets, and then afterwards I painted it black. And when I had the negative of it, which appears here horizontally, and I tried to make a cityscape which is taken vertically, but at the same time from the top. So it is both. You can see the skyscraper tops on the top and also in between, but at the same time it appears the usual Budapest ring structure of the city with smaller and bigger rings around the city. And I have my head like a landscape kind of thing on the bottom, just looking up at all these.
Eszter, how do you keep your mind clear?
I think it is by working. So many people ask, how long did it take for you to do this work? And I say it is very difficult to say, because the actual doing might be just a few weeks. But thinking on it and maturing the idea, it takes sometimes half a year or more years. Like here, with the idea with the profile I had for 2 years already, but I didn't know where to incorporate and what will be all the other things. So I like the minutes before falling asleep. Then everything is so relaxed and calm, and just not really thinking, oh, what shall I do tomorrow, kind of things, and list to this and that and that, but just to meditate and envision, so half asleep, how certain things would look, and think about it. I don't have real time for sitting down and meditation during the day, because I like to work on the daylight, which is in the winter can be quite short. But I like that this half asleep, alpha stage meditation kind of thing before I go to sleep, and I kind of try to train myself to remember in the morning what I have thought of, and then with full energy I go into my studio to find out how it works, because very many times you have a vision in your head and it doesn't want to come out, so it just doesn't appear. So you have to work more rationally on it. Okay, what is the point that doesn't work? What should I change in it? And it is a nice conversation in between these dreamy, visioning things, and then working a little bit more rationally on how the design would work. I think my using of colors come from instinct immediately, so I don't have to think about colors, they just come. But the design and the composition, doesn't come just by instinct. So I'm not such a genius who will paint a thing and it is there and it is good as it is. So I have some instincts, and then I have to do some rational thinking, and it is a nice conversation of these two things together. And
I'm interested in whether the places that you visit around the world also creep into your mind maps, and therefore your maps that you make.
I think it is working like that, although probably not directly, but more indirectly. So it is in the choice of colors, in the feelings I have when I visited a place which I really like. So I think that my visit in Australia will really influence my ways of seeing things and getting new inspirations into my work.
So thank you very much, Eszter, for coming to Australia and to exhibit here at Textiles.
I'm feeling very honored, really, and I'm so very, very happy to be here and to exhibit at Textiles.
Thank you.
Thank you.